Today I thought I would spend some time grinding through kanji. For a while, I was pretty dedicated with my Japanese studies, but when things get busy at work or when other things are happening, it's very easy to fall out of your routine, and then it's much, much harder to get back into your routine than it is to just kind of sustain it. So I thought maybe it would help to make some videos. In the past, I made some very silly videos where I was trying to speed run through my kanji study app on my phone. But I thought this time I would take it slower and actually kind of try to explain why I know what I know, like how I learned it, what memorics I used. I think it might be kind of interesting because I haven't really articulated a lot of this even internally to myself. A lot of it just kind of happens subliminally. So I think that might be kind of cool. Before we get to that though, there's this site I found which has like a nice little online quiz that we're going to do. But before we get to that, I thought I would talk a little bit about what learning kanji is like. Um, so I wanted to show you a graph I thought of. Um, so if you kind of think of this axis being your skill in Japanese, this axis being time spent learning Japanese, I would say your actual skill kind of goes something like this. It takes kind of a while to get anything going, and then it accelerates a bit, but nothing ever that crazy. And then there's kind of like a long tail of just sort of incremental growth that goes on basically forever. Um, and this chart maybe doesn't look so appealing. This area looks maybe sort of satisfying, but uh, maybe not the most exciting thing. But then there's also the graph that shows your kind of perceived skill in Japanese, how competent you feel you are, and that looks a little more, at least for me, kind of like this. Dun, dun, and then sometimes it even goes like down when you realize that there's like huge gulfs of knowledge, but then it'll like spike up again, stagnant for a while, spike up again, stagnant for a while, maybe down again. Something more like this, where it's just sort of like certain milestones you hit or certain things that you realize you're able to accomplish will make you hugely more confident, sometimes unduly so, and then other things will drop your confidence and such. And of course, the black line is the one that matters more. It's the one that actually reflects your ability to make meaning of Japanese texts and Japanese language and such. But the red line is also very important. We are humans. We aren't just Japanese learning automatons as much as sometimes we wish we could be. And it's important to stay motivated. And I think having these big spikes where you feel like suddenly things are within your grasp and you have hope and confidence that you'll eventually get all the way over here is really important to keep yourself going. And of course, this first jump, which I recommend everyone to do, is to learn kana, hiragana, and katakana. The amount of things that unlocks for you, your ability to pronounce things and then start connecting spoken Japanese with written Japanese, your ability to read much of signage, your ability to read all sorts of English loan words which are written in katakana. It's all just wonderful. But I think after that, one of the most significant jumps, maybe not reflected very well in this chart anywhere, maybe like here or even here, is getting quite good at kanji. I'm not really there yet, but when I was kind of at my kanji prime, when I was studying kanji every day, it was immensely satisfying just to be able to pick words out of paragraphs and to know, even if I don't really know why they're talking about this thing, what the point of this paragraph is or the subtleties or anything of it, I know like at least what they're talking about. Oh, they're talking about Aoyama, the Blue Mountain, this region in Tokyo. Oh, they're talking about the office place. Oh, they're talking about this or that. Just getting that far alone is very, very satisfying, and being able to like to a much lesser extent read random things in Chinese too. It's very fun, very satisfying. And a lot of people are very intimidated by kanji because you know, the kind of thing thrown around is that there's 2,000 or so that you need to be able to read something like a newspaper. Um, and I think that number really doesn't mean anything until you start. Like, your emotional reaction to hearing that is about the same as if I had told you you need 200 kanji to read a newspaper or 20,000 kanji to read a newspaper. It's all kind of the same, just big number feeling, which I can see as being very intimidating. But when you get into it, it's actually so much worse than you think. 2,000 is actually such a huge number, and you really don't appreciate it until you're a couple hundred deep and you realize that you've just barely scratched the surface. So in that sense, it's harder than you might think. But in another sense, if you don't know much about kanji, it's probably actually easier than you expect. I know when I was first, like before I knew any Japanese, and I would look at written Japanese, I kind of thought all kanji were just kind of random and each one was fairly arbitrary and such. But it's not. Most kanji are made of radicals, kind of smaller kanji-like components that will give you some clue typically as to what it means or how it's pronounced. Of course, there's just as many counterexamples as there are examples of this, but it does get you quite far, and it does really help in being able to remember them. That if you remember them as a collection of radicals and then kind of some meaning in your head that associates that collection of radicals with the actual meaning, some memoric device, that does you so much better than just actually having to memorize 2,000 kind of unique pictures. Anyways, so that's kind of my plan today, is to go through maybe a few levels of this quiz, talk about the radicals we see, talk about kind of how the overall meaning of the kanji could be inferred from those radicals, and hopefully, even though this isn't anywhere near an actual substitute for your own kanji education, hopefully I can make it a little more demystified, maybe kind of show you how fun it can be. It is actually quite fun, even if it is also intimidating and frustrating. Okay, so this just started in immediately. We're looking at our first kanji here. This one means small, and it is kind of a radical in and of itself, so you can't really break it down any further. And I'm not really sure what I used to remember this. This is one that's just been so internalized into me that I can't really even remember the process of learning it. I don't know, it kind of looks cute, maybe. So this site is nice because afterwards it shows you all the different pronunciations. So this is pronounced as chi, as in chi sai. You might have heard that. Small. Ko. Ko also you see often the child character will kind of take a similar role as like a diminutive smaller thing. Apparently also can be pronounced as o, which is confusing because big is also pronounced as o, except big is like o. This is just o. Isn't Japanese fun? Sa apparently as well, and then here in katakana, you get another reading, which I believe is the reading that it will have if it's like a standalone word, where these are readings that it'll have as it's like a one character in a compound. So this is shol. So here we can see examples: chisai meaning small, shogaku. So this is small school student, shogakusei, elementary school student. Um, oh, wow, I didn't know that. The O in Obasan, meaning old lady, is actually small. I always thought it was like the O, the honorific O. Like O-sama, O-sushi, O-sake, O-sara, etc. Shogaku, um, so this is shogakusei. And then here, when you're talking about the school itself, you use this different character. This is ko-same for a late rain. How nice. Okay, anyways, we will move on. This one is person. Again, this is like kind of a radical in and of itself. You can think of it as just kind of the person's legs or whatever. And we'll see this in a billion other kanji. Hito, you've probably heard that to refer to a person. Rito. Uh, Zan, Zen, nin, you hear quite a bit. Um, I don't know. I don't feel like going through all of the readings, but it's kind of cool. Otona, you've probably heard before. Hitori, by yourself. Nice. This is year. Again, a lot of these early ones, they're not made up of any constituent parts. You just know that it's year. All right. Toshi, nen. Nen you hear quite often for like shonen and stuff. That's the nen of shonen. Okay. So this one, you should be able to figure out. It is, of course, 3. The numbers, the early numbers at least, are very, very self-explanatory. The only thing that you might get this mixed up with is katakana mi, which is also just kind of 3 horizontal lines, but they're a little more angled. And we'll probably see... Oh, no, because it's written in hiragana mi. So with numbers, the way you pronounce them is often based on what you're counting. So here, san, you probably know san as 3. Sankaku meaning triangular, 3 angles. But then when you're talking about 3 days, that's mitsuka, mika. Um, so that's fun, isn't it? Can you imagine that in English? In English, it's actually maybe not that different. That we have 3 things, and then also the third thing, and then also in triplicate or the tertiary, or you know, it's sort of similar. It's like we do have a lot of different counting words in English too, but the it's kind of like a more grammatical distinction, I guess, than the object distinction. So you get used to it. This is 4. The numbers I have really internalized because of mahjong. So I learned the numbers way before I learned pretty much any other kanji, so I don't really have any advice as to how to learn them. They're just there. I guess play a lot of mahjong is my advice. And then my advice is also don't play a lot of mahjong. That game will just drain all of your time from you. So yeah, uh, good, good. The yo you might remember from Yotsuba. That's 4 leaves is the name of her the name of her name, the meaning of her name. So that's the yo in Yotsuba. This is 5. I'm just getting the numbers all in a row now. Again, I don't know how to remind you that this is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's got 5 angles. So that's pretty good. This is an interesting one. Shagonyo New. Shagunyo. Rounding half up. I didn't know that. This is mouth. I'm sure you can see why. It's just the big mouth. Gucci, Gucci, things like that. You'll see it a lot for this one. Iriguchi, meaning extra, and Deguchi, meaning or entrance, and Deguchi meaning exit. That's probably where you'll see it most. On some containers and stuff, it'll refer to the opening of the container, so that can be helpful. This is 8. I don't know why it's 8. It's just 8. Again, the numbers are pretty arbitrary. The green gosher, yao ya. Okay, this is like 800 shop. So I guess that means you're selling a whole lot of things. That's cute. That's nice. This is gonna take forever if I'm this detailed about it, I guess. But no, I'm going to be because this is fun. This is woman. You'll see this radical in quite a lot of things. I guess you can try to picture it as a woman's body if that helps you. Yeah, it's all over the place. Joshi, we know quite well. Fujoshi, that's the Joshi and Fujoshi. Ona no ko, you see that quite often as well. Shoujo, of course, like the genre of manga. This is country. Inside is like treasure or whatever, so it's kind of like a boundary around the treasure. So this is kind of our first one that I think we're actually seeing radicals. So this innermost thing, this little structure here, means like king or emperor or whatever. And then this little apostrophe um, makes it into like jewel, this innermost part, or gem or something. So if you kind of think of like this is the king and then this part is this gem or whatever, then you have this sort of treasure image. And then the boundary that you draw around it makes it your country. This is like your kingdom or whatever. So this is kuni. When you think of lots of things are like yuki kuni. In One Piece, sometimes the Wano kuni, um, and hon gun goku. That's your own country. Uh, gai koku is a foreign country, and gai koku jin is foreigner, and that's what's abbreviated to gaijin to mean foreigner. So you might know that one. This is a 9. For a second, I didn't see it there, and I'm like, is this not 9? This is 9. The numbers, again, I don't know why. It's just what they are. This is in front or before. You see this one a lot in directions and such. It's very good to know. So here we have some kind of radicals. I'm not really sure how to break it down in a way that it makes any sense, but we'll see these radicals again, and maybe you can kind of come up with a way yourself. Like Ekemae, you'll see this quite a lot in front of the station. Omae! This is, of course, meaning just like this thing that is in front of me, which is like a kind of a rude way to address someone, but you hear it quite often. Omae? Okay, so this one we actually just saw in Mae as one of the radicals. And this one means month or moon. And then as a radical, it often refers to like body parts. So I don't know why that is. But if you see this in another kanji, it typically will denote that that kanji is referring to a body part. So you see it in the names of all the months. So this is like Goku Go Getsu for the 5th month. That's May. Every month, Mai Tsuki. So there, it's pronounced Tsuki, which is the reading for moon. You probably heard that before, like Tsukihime, moon princess. But then, even though these both mean month, when it is preceded by the number, you pronounce the number and then Getsu. It's like Sangatsu no Lion. So why? I don't know. Just for fun. It's Getsu and Gatsu. I mixed them up a second ago. This is 2. I'm sure you can see why it's 2. Easy peasy. Again, you can mix it up with ni. This is katakana ni. Maybe I'll zoom in a bit. Oh, shoot. Scrolling did something. Scrolling, like, skipped us one. Whatever. Okay, so this is child. No. No, it is child. For a second I was thrown off, but no, this is definitely child. You'll see this in a lot of phrases and stuff. We saw it already in shoujo, in joshi. Yeah, kodomo, child, is the ko in kodomo. And this is at the end of like a ton of names. A lot of names that end in ko. This is the ko. This is friend. These are kind of radicals. This sort of thing appears in a lot. I don't really know what it connotates. It's also in like left and right and anti and a lot of other things. And then this part, again, I'm not really sure, but it's just friend. Like tomodachi, shingyu, you might hear sometimes it's pronounced differently there. Yusho, yujo, sorry, is like friendship. Nice, nice one. Very, very nice kanji. This is life or birth, and it's used in like a billion other different circumstances too that I can never keep track of. It's kind of a weird one. Like student this is the say and student. It's the I in ikeru, to live. Iki iki, that's a good one. Uh, umare, where your birthplace. It's all over the place. There's like a million more things that this one is used for too, and this radical shows up in a lot as well. Um, so get used to this one. Make sure you remember how it's different than the one that means king that we were talking about earlier. How is it different? I don't know. Just know that it is. This is enter or insert. It looks a lot like person, but this is like more sloped. Sometimes person is written kind of more sloped as well, but it's sloped in the opposite direction. So to kind of distinguish them, I always think that enter is like entering in from this side, I guess. And person is not entering in from this side. Sure. You see this one shows up in a lot. Entrance we were looking at before. Entry into a country, you might see that on some visa type documents when you're coming to Japan. Good, good. Ooh, can you figure out what this one is? It's one. Easiest kanji in your life. Hito, hitotsu, hitoribochi. All of these are one, 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 one. This is before or previous. It's a little elaborate looking. I always kind of look for this thing as kind of suggesting beforehand, I guess, maybe, I don't know. But you'll see this a lot in like the previous month, the previous week, the previous day. And it's also the sen and sensei. The sei being the same sei as gakusei, student. The sen, for some reason, is, I guess it's like the person who was here before. So whatever sento you might recognize too. This is every. This is another really good one to know. It shows up in a lot of compounds. This is the Nichi and Nichijo. See? Oh, my Nichi. I lied to you. Anyways, yeah, it's pronounced my actually. I guess the Nichi and Nichijo for every day is different. Wait, that's confusing me. But whatever, let's just move on. This is water. Again, good one to know. You'll see it all over the place. But when it's used as a radical, it doesn't look anything like this. So later I'll show you what the water radical looks like, and you'll be like, it's language. It's impossible. So yes, the radical for water will show up in almost every kanji that has something to do with water or fluid or movement of water. But it doesn't look anything like this. So mizu, you probably know water, mizu. Mizuiru for that white color, and mizugi for bathing suit, in case you want to search Pixiv. This is study or learning. This is the gaku and gakusei. So the student for school it's like learning school kind of. Gakunen, your school year. Manabu, this version of study, but there's a few other things that also mean study, like benkyo and stuff. And daigaku is university, chogaku, middle school. You know these. You've probably heard these a lot if you watch anime. This one is what? Nani? Nani sore? And it also refers to like something, nanika, like just kind of like that thing which I don't know. Don't know being kind of like what way are you going? It's pronounced differently kind of based on what question you're asking. Itsu, apparently, even though Itsu, like a lot of these you'll normally actually just see written in kana, just because it's like, I guess, such a common word, or it's like that kind of particle of speech that they just prefer to write it in kana. So this you'll normally just see as itsu, but it's actually naniki, nani toki, what time. This is 1,000. Again, the numbers seem pretty arbitrary to me. Chi. In the name Chi Haya, this is the Chi. So you'll see it there as well. This is in the middle, Naka. So it's also used for like middle school and stuff, in the middle of the day. All good ones to know. And it's Chun in Mahjong. You'll see it in Mahjong as well for the Red Dragon's app. Chun. So this is our first real, well, actually, country was a kind of good one to break down, but this one I quite like. So this radical on the right means tree. You can kind of picture this as a tree, perhaps. And this one on the left is human. And if you can remember kind of what human looked like before, that it was just this tall little triangular thing with two little legs. If you can picture it kind of shifted up, I'm doing it the wrong way for the camera, this way. Before it was like this, now it's like this. This becomes our human radical. So this is usually in ones that involve kind of some human activity. So here we have this nice person is resting by a tree, hanging out kind of with and underneath the tree. So this of course means rest. There's yasu, yasumi being your vacation stuff. Oyasumi, good night, have a nice rest. Yeah, it's a good one to know. So this is, you can kind of see the method here now, right? Of how we're going to try to break down a lot of these other ones. Of course, you could also imagine this means like wood chopping or fruit plucking or smoking weed or anything else that you can combine in your head with person and tree. So just kind of breaking down the radicals doesn't get you everywhere, but it helps that if you can kind of make this equation in your head, person plus tree equals rest, that's a lot easier to remember than just ingraining this one image into your mind and going rest, rest, rest. This is 7. I always remember that this is 7 because it kind of looks like an upside down 7, you know? But mostly I remember it just because of Mahjong. This is mom. I don't know why it's mom. You just gotta remember it's mom. Haha. And Ka-san and stuff like that. Nice. This is day or sun or a majillion billion different other things. This is probably up there for one of the kanji that's used the most often in the most different ways. This is, of course, the ni in Nihon, like Japan. So you'll see it a ton in that context. And then it's a radical as well to refer to the sun. You'll see it in all sorts of places there. And also a radical to refer to a day, where you'll see it in a ton of places there. And of course, it really kind of makes sense to connect the span of a day with the sun. So this isn't the most illogical connection. This is a pretty sensible connection, but it is tricky to kind of keep straight all the different things this can mean. You just see it all the time. This is outside. You'll see it in gaijin and stuff, like the outside country person. So this is like evening, and this is katakana to. So if you can come up with a way to make that mean outside in your mind, then good for you. I think I more just kind of routely remembered this one. But yeah, it shows up quite a bit. This is name. Kimi no nawa. This is the na and nawa. It'll show up in name. What's your name? Meijin. This is the mei in Meijin, meaning expert. And then, yeah, nadakai. I thought it was like yume. I thought it was also the mei and yume, meaning famous. But this also means famous. So even when you learn something, later you learn that you only learned one way of learning something and that there is actually another thing. Great. This is either right or left. And because right is the only one here, I know that it's right. And I wish I had a better way to not mix those up because it's really stupid to mix those up. Right is mouth under this and left is craft under this. So you can kind of think of, I don't know, Left-handed people are sinister, so they're crafty. Maybe right people who think they're right shout all the time, so they have the mouth. I don't know. I don't know. I mix them up way too often. But to be fair, I also have difficulty quickly ascertaining right or left in English, even just mentally. So it's like a double compounding thing, where I don't have the best spatial awareness to begin with, and then I have to do it in another language too. So migi, right? You'll hear that quite a bit. This is down, under, or lower. This is in a ton of place names and stuff. And in kudasai, meaning to like ask someone for something. Kind of like the please of Japanese. This is the ku in that. So you'll see that a lot. Um, 10. So this is like Ju. So when you start getting into the higher counters and stuff, this is interesting to me that it shows up in red cross, which because it's capitalized here, I assume it means like the medical organization Red Cross. In which case, it's very literally just like red 10 character, but here 10 isn't being referred to as 10. It's like the fact that it looks like a cross, I guess. Oh god. Oh god. let's just forget we saw that because that's a little baffling. This is fire. You can kind of think of it as like little embers and flames sparking up around it. It looks pretty cool. This shows up all over the place. In Hanabi, fireworks, it's the B. It's just fire, or flower fire. Volcano, I guess. It's fire mountain. Kazan. Pretty awesome. This is old. It looks like a gravestone. You can also think of it as 10 mouths, because someone elderly is so wise that they speak with the authority of 10 people. Or you can think it looks kind of like a gravestone, which is how I remember it. It's kind of sad. But this is 3. No, just kidding, it's river. You can kind of see just like the river flowing down. You'll see this radical a lot too. Kawa. Remember kawa? Yama. Kawa, yama. Do you know what I'm referencing? Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a good one. You'll see this a lot. This, of course, is tree that we were talking about before. Ki. It shows up all over the place in many different radicals. Here you see it as a radical next to this one, which is kind of like engagement radical, like physical action radical. So this is the one that actually means lumber. Earlier I was saying about how you could possibly imagine that human plus tree is lumber, but actually it's like action, like click on tree makes it lumber. And then for fun, if you swap the order of them, it's pronounced differently. Or no, it's pronounced the same. It's either zai moku or moku zai. Both of these are words, and they both mean the same thing. And you just write the kanji in the opposite order. What? Okay. This is left, as I said before. So this one means craft. You can kind of think of it as like an I-beam, like a cross-section of an I-beam. So it means, yeah, like kind of anything that you build or construct. So those crafty leftists, I don't know. Those loud right-wingers, maybe. If you, it actually does help to kind of make a memoric in your head that's a little memorable, even if it offends you or offends your sensibilities, maybe even especially so, because it will stick with you better. Shonara, I didn't know that. Oh, sayonara. Damn it. Yeah, of course that's sayonara. I didn't know that meant left something. Okay, this is big. It's so big. Oh, you see this one a lot. Big human is adult. Great. Um, this is a radical in a lot of things too. So this kind of looks like before or previous to me, but it's missing like this part. So this one is noon. I don't know really how to make it seem like noon. I guess it's kind of like divided down the middle. If it sticks up a little more, just here, just a little more here, very, very slight difference. Guess what it means? Probably like, what, afternoon, exactly in the middle, split, something like that? No, it means cow. Surprise. This is writing, and my Japanese teacher said it looks like just a bunch of papers piled up over top of a sun. And that the sun is kind of radiating the creative energy through it, which as a writer, I think is kind of cool. It's like I'm a sun bringing energy up through these literary mediums or whatever. This is also like to draw, the kaku, draw. You see this one a lot. Luckily, it's not typically a radical, in other words, because it's huge and complicated and takes forever to write. This is father, chichi, and oto-san. This is a nice little X. I'm your father. It's kind of badass. This is man. So this one is rice field on top. This is a radical you'll see quite often. And the bottom one is like power underneath. So to me, this is just kind of like the men are designated since very ancient Chinese time as like the power that gets rice out of the rice field or whatever, like the power to work in the fields. Which yeah, okay, I don't know. The woman one I think is actually just a very exaggerated pictogram of a woman's body, if you remember what it looks like. But the man seems like, I don't know, it's kind of funny to me. Like there's a lot of other kanji that when you kind of break down the radicals and stuff, it feels a little misogynistic. But this one is nicely misandrist, I think. just get out there and work. Pick the rice, please. um, yeah, so you see this a lot in phrases and stuff. You'll see it as a radical sometimes. This is ear. I guess it kind of looks like an ear pictogrammically. You kind of think like this is like the earlobe down here, and this kind of the general shape, and this is kind of the inside intricacies. You got to remember, like these all started out as way more like curvy and elaborate, way back in ancient Chinese days, and then the process has been constantly one of kind of revision and simplification and like alignment, making things just more at right angles. So Mimi, like Neko Mimi, that's your ear, cat ear. This is above or up. It's pretty clearly up, whereas the other one was pretty clearly down. So in a lot of situations where you would see down, you can also put up to refer to the other side of it. And again, it's in a lot of names and stuff, like ueno. This is the ue in ueno. This is now. It just is. Again, it'll get more interesting as we go into later levels in terms of trying to make up little radical breakdown minorics. But you just gotta know this is now. Right now. Ima, ima wa. And kyo, like today. This is now day. And konnichiwa, how is your day, basically? How is today for you? Is that why it's not pronounced kyo wa? I don't know, but it's konnichiwa. This is book, but it also means a million other things. This is the hon in Nihon, second half of Japan. There it is right there, Nihon. You'll see that a lot, so get used to it. And then honya is bookstore, so look out for that too, if you're like me and you just want to buy a bunch of books. So yeah, it's a good one to know. It looks like tree, and then this line here, you can kind of think of it as maybe like cutting down the tree to make the paper for the book. Seems a little rude, maybe, but you'll remember that. Got to chop down a lot of trees to make books. If I look back at my bookshelves, how many trees is that? There's a lot of dang trees. Sorry, trees. This is 6. Again, the numbers kind of arbitrary. You just learn them. Play Mahjong, or don't. This is mountain. You can kind of see a mountain there, right? It's sticking up. Yama. This is in a lot of place names, a lot of kanji compounds, and it's a radical quite frequently. So it's a good one to know. Pretty simple to remember. And the last one we are looking at is weak. So this one's a little complicated. This radical we'll see a lot. This is kind of like a road or a boat, some people refer to it as. And you usually kind of think of it as like things that are kind of going along. So if you think of like the span of a week, just kind of goes along and along. Then there's this guy, this little house here that you see often. I don't know really how to describe him, but he likes to gather things up. So here we've gathered up soil or ground or earth and then mouth. So somehow just cram all of those images together. Someone's going along carrying a little house, and inside the house is some dirt and a mouth. And that means a week. Why? You tell me. You tell me. All right. So we made it through. We got a hundo. But you see, it's just beginning. Each group contains approximately 50 flashcards. We got through 52 there. And it just goes on and 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 on. And you can see kind of how difficult the so these are the Japanese language proficiency tests. If you remember a couple years ago, I did my darndest to write the N4 and I failed, but I did okay. I have some friends now that just recently cleared N1, which is absolutely crazy. Good for them. Someday maybe we'll get there. Hopefully we'll just keep climbing our way there. You can see it ramp up. That for N2 you got to know up to this point. Like to go from N3 to N2, you just need to learn these other 350 or so. But then to go to N2 to N1, which is definitely the biggest difficulty spike, you need a good what's 20 times 50? Oh, it's a scary number. Let's not even calculate it. All right, so that's what learning kanji is like. I hope you had fun. It was a longer video than I expected, but I'm glad I kind of took the time to talk about each one just a little bit. I think it'll help me remember too. Although, as you saw, these early ones are quite trivial for me. I'm hoping it won't be until here that I start actually having some trouble, but we'll see. Yeah, this site is a lot of fun. As you saw, you can find it just by Googling kanji quiz. I think these sort of multiple choice quizzes is a good way to learn because it's very like immediate feedback. Seeing the hundo is quite satisfying, and it's not so overwhelming. I mean, of course, it's better to practice, writing them. There's other apps and quizzes and stuff where you can do that, or practice pulling them just completely out of the blue, not having your selection of 9 here, but just knowing what it is, period. But this is a good intermediary step to kind of move you confidently into that. So I recommend it. Okay, we'll do some more. I hope you enjoyed it because we're going to do some more. All right.